I took this test 3 times. I failed it twice. I got the same failing score. I got a 231 2 times on this test, and you need a 240 to pass, as you probably all already know. So I was very disappointed. It was really disappointing. It set me back. I ended up taking a long break over the summer, last summer. I took the test in, let's see, I'm going to give you exactly how long. So I took the test January 12th for the first time. I got a failing 231 score. I took the test a second time on March 5th and got a failing 231 score. And then I took it again the same year in the end of November, and I passed. So the difference between me failing and passing was that, as you may already know, the early childhood MTEL is very in-depth. It's very complicated. I was very successful in the other 2 MTELs that I needed for my licensure. And in the early childhood, I was not as successful. It took a long time. So let's get into it. It was about a year, actually, it took me to pass it. So let me just get into the first couple of things. So I had taken a 1-day, I think it was only 5 or 6 hour workshop that was instructed by Christopher Richard, who is a teacher in Boston. He taught this workshop at UMass, the Boston campus, and I was given the shiny thing makes it hard to see, but I was given this material. It's a solutions book. That was the material I was given with the first workshop I took at UMass. So a lot of the vocabulary and multiple choice study materials, I should say, were in this and were given at this particular workshop. I think that maybe if I had an educational academic background in this subject matter, that may have sufficed, and I would have potentially passed on one of my first 2 tries. But I was really lacking in my preparation and my ability to compose the essay questions, that portion of the test. So if I can give any advice, it's definitely do the essays. Like I will advise with any of the MTELs, do the essays first, get that behind you, and then move on to the multiple choice. So I had the same set of flashcards. I wrote these after, I wrote these up. It's a lot of them. It's like an entire package of index cards. But I wrote these up after the first workshop that I took at UMass with Christopher Richard. It's a lot of vocabulary words. I have learned helplessness, cognitive dissonance, identification. I have Freud's 12 defense mechanisms. I have deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, Howard Gardner, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I have a lot of theorist stuff, vocabulary words. There is some simple math that's also in here that's more of like a elementary level math. It's really not too much, so I don't think that you would have to get too much into that. But that is covered. All of that is covered in this short workshop. Moving on, I ended up taking another workshop, and that's ultimately what I believe gave me the tools that I needed to better prepare myself for the essay, and that was the Go Academy workshop. It was a lot more money. I believe the UMass one was only $150, and the Go Academy, it's gohacademy.com, that's their website. That was significantly more money. I think it was like upwards $300, something like that. But again, it was a 1-day course. This was 8 hours though. And this was held at a hotel in like Cambridge, I believe. And he went over a lot of stuff. Like this is some of the material from the packets. But most of all, what I really needed help with was that essay stuff. I mean, I think that anyone can pretty much memorize and understand. Obviously, any college level individual would, and not even, would be able to understand, comprehend, and recall the vocabulary. So I won't get too much into that. But the essay writing is what my weakness was. If I look at my score reports, I will see that I went from the first 2 times having limited integration of knowledge and understanding for my essays to having a thorough, which is the highest mark for the essays. So that really, I really jumped a significant bit after I took the Go Academy workshop. So I did, just so you know, I did print these out from the MTEL website, and I did practice with them to get a better perspective on the essays. But I think that what really helped me was kind of like I ended up making my own graphic organizers that look like this for the 2 essays, like just kind of understanding that there were going to be 2 types of essays, and really that they just cover a couple concepts, and that I would need to apply early childhood concepts. For me, I decided that the best ones for me that I knew I would be able to apply were one-to-one correspondence, just saying like 1 pen. So if everyone gets 1 pen, then it's 1, 1, 1. It's such a simple concept, but for some reason I just I wasn't able to apply that concept to my writing of the essays. And then I also thought cardinality is just really great. Like, okay, so I have this stack of flashcards. It's 1 stack of flashcards comprised of like 200 index cards. So just the ability to tell that there are 200 and some index cards in 1 set. So I applied those, and I just like articulated that if I were to, in a lesson plan, this is for my essay, in a lesson plan, say that I was going to apply one-to-one correspondence and cardinality, those 2 concepts, to a lesson plan, I would need to explain why they're developmentally appropriate. In doing that, you know, I feel that they can be hands-on, pre-operational. I could use symbols and models. How am I going to scaffold? How am I going to model this to the students? And I just want to also note that in my essays, like I brought up the theorists, you know, so for the hands-on and for the utilization of symbols and models, I thought, you know, Piaget, one of the theorists in my stack of cards, tied into that. And Vygotsky with the teacher modeling and scaffolding, and cooperative learning also comes into play depending upon what the lesson plan is. And leading from cooperative learning, it's social and emotional development, because really at the early childhood age, everything is. Additionally, language development and the different tiers of language utilization. So I made my own graphic organizer in the thought that I would apply those concepts. And then for another essay where, you know, I'm kind of like choosing what my lesson plan is, because there are 2 essays here and they are different. I thought I need to like stop messing with this. That's probably causing so much additional noise. So for that, I thought another thing that I could talk about, 2 concepts I could talk about: classification and counting. Counting is just simple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Additionally, classification is like, oh, this is a blue pen. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the blue pile. And just the ability to sort based on attributes, like using manipulatives like a pen or those little like counting bears. You can differentiate them by their color, their size, their shape. So with those 2 concepts, I make my own lesson plan in 150 to 300 words, make my own lesson plan where I activate schema, like where I bring prior knowledge that the kids have into the lesson plan and show them what to do. I'm describing to them how I'm going to do this, and I'm scaffolding and showing them how I'm going to facilitate their learning, and describing in my essay what the children will do, like saying this is what they're going to do. And then I just simply wrap it up and everyone comes back and shares in my lesson plan. So you definitely want to cite in your tie-in for the essays, you always want to cite your work from what you've already written. So again, like in the first example I gave a minute ago, I'm saying it's hands-on, uses symbols. This is a Piaget example, teacher modeling and scaffolding. Who do we say, like, that's Vygotsky. So the more that you can like tie in to show that you really do have a thorough knowledge is gonna help you so much. Promotes cooperative learning, engages social development, uses multi-tier language. This is the same as the first essay that I was just giving an example of, where I used other concepts. So really it's all the same. It's having that same, this is my graphic organizer. It's having that same idea and just being able to tie it all in. So making these really helped me to map out everything that I was going to say and in what order, and it gave me a game plan. And that's what I was lacking the first 2 times that I took the early childhood. I had to stop clicking my pen. I have to stop touching the index cards. I'm probably really distracting you, so I apologize in advance. But yeah, so that was my most stressful MTEL, and I finally passed it. I actually did really, really well, like based on my school report. So it did take me a year to finally do it. It took me 3 tries to finally do it. And with that being said, I think that anyone could. So if that gives you any insight on how to better prepare, I really hope that it does. But, I really strongly suggest taking a workshop, and I'm endorsed by nobody. This is just my experiences that I feel compelled to share with everyone, because there was nothing out there that helped to guide me. I had to kind of piece all of this out, or piece it together, I should say, by trial and error and just scouring the internet and learning from mistakes, especially in this particular MTEL. So good luck to you all. I hope that these videos help you. Again, Go Academy really helped me with my early childhood MTEL, and it is definitively what gave me the tools to pass. So good luck, everyone, and thank you so much for watching.